Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to make a writing font for your Cricut in Adobe Illustrator. A writing font or any kind of draw file is different from a regular cut file because it's got to be made up of open paths or single paths. So you might notice that when you've tried to use a regular font, it will just write in bubble letters. So for this, we're going to be completely recreating it. This is a beginner tutorial designed for people who may not know how to use the pen tool. So I'm going to be showing you two methods that kind of hack that. So first things first, I have just a text box here with a font in it. I've chosen Brazzetto, which is an Adobe font, and we're going to want to create outlines for this. So the shortcut for that is Command-Shift-O or Control-Shift-O. You can also go Object and then Expand, or you can go Type and create outlines here. So I'm going to enter outline mode in Adobe Illustrator. This is Command Y or Control Y, and you'll see we've got that bubble text effect that you'll see if you're using a regular font to make a writing font on your Cricut. So this is going to be the view that I'm mostly going to be working in because I'm going to be using these bubble letters as a guide. So I'm just going to lock layer 1. So if you don't have the layers panel open, just go Window and then find Layers. So I've just locked it by clicking this button here, and then I'm going to create a new layer. So I'm going to be completely writing on this layer. It will be really helpful for us to see what we're doing. I'm going to start with the pen tool, so the shortcut for that is P. And I'm going to zoom all the way in, and I'm just going to start just clicking. I'm just creating a bunch of straight lines. So you really do not need to know how to use the pen tool for this. It would certainly make things a bit faster and easier, but the next method that I show you will be faster than this, so it might take a few more goes. And then once we're at the end, I'm just going to hit Escape. I'm going to hit V to go back to the Move tool. And this is something that Illustrator will have an issue with, so I'm going to show you first. I haven't deselected it, I just ended my path by hitting Escape, and then I hit V to switch to the Move tool. I'm going to right click this, and I'm going to have a bit of a problem here. So I'm going to click Simplify, and you'll see it says 1 point up here. This is a bug in Illustrator. I've been experiencing it for years. So we're just going to prevent that from happening, we're going to click off it and then click on it again, and you'll see that all of these highlight red instead of like a hollow red. Then we're going to do the same thing again. Right click and then choose Simplify, and you'll see now it says 31 points. So I don't know why this happens, but if you don't click off your object, it seems like the Move tool just doesn't really register that it's selected it. And it will have only selected like that one anchor point at the end where you finished it, I think. So just deselect it and then reselect it with the Move tool, and then you can open the Simplify menu. So if we drag this down, you'll see that now our straight lines have formed lovely curves, and anything that is remaining a straight line we can fix after the fact. So I'm going to drag that down to about there. That looks good to me visually. And then I'm going to fix my path. So if we select it and we hit A, we can see all these little circles. This, if we don't select one and we just start clicking, it's going to round out all of them, you see. But I don't want to do that. So for this one, I actually want these ones to remain as a point. I like that. But if you wanted to, you could select one of them and then just drag that up a little bit to create that curve. For this one, we can see that it comes in to a little point here, so we could either drag this one out, but I'm actually just going to minus this one. So I hit the minus key on my keyboard to bring up that, and I'm just going to hold Shift and click that. But that didn't really agree. So as you can see, if I click it minus without holding Shift, it just drags it over here. It doesn't have any consideration for what your path previously was. But if you hold Shift and then click minus, it's going to try to closely maintain that curve. So I'm actually going to go back to the direct selection tool, which is A, and just select that one, and I will use the curve for that one because I don't like how the anchor point is minusing. That one's fine. That one's less fine. You can also add in an anchor point at a certain point and then minus your previous anchor point. So like if we didn't like this one, we could add in an anchor point here, hit the plus button, add an anchor point there, and then shift minus. That's also an option, which actually I think I will do that. And same with that one as well. So it's really just tweaking how your letters look. And then once you've got your letter all finished, you can hide that first layer and see what you're left with. So this feels a little unbalanced to me here. And also, now that I've seen it without the letters, I think I want all of the corners to be rounded. So A for the direct selection tool, I'm going to select this anchor point, and then I'm going to hold shift and select this one. And then I'll just do the corners a little bit. So there you go, that's one letter done, and then it would write like that with a pen when you're using a pen on your Cricut. For the next method, you can also use the pencil tool. So the shortcut for that is N. And before we start drawing, we're just going to double click on the pencil icon here. And we've got our settings here. So we can choose it to be more accurate or more smooth. This just depends on what you're looking for, how shaky your hand is, that sort of thing. And I'm going to keep all my settings like this. And then I'm just going to draw. So anything we do can very easily be fixed later on. That's the beauty of vector editing, is nothing is set. So there we are. And you can see that was a lot faster to do than our previous one. So once again, I'm just going to fix things. So I don't actually like how this curve worked out. So I'm going to select A, and I'm just going to drag the handle of the anchor point to make that more smooth. And there we go, I'm happy with that. So to make it connect to each letter, you could either do your best to like drag this up and then back down and keep them all as one path, but I don't really like doing that because for me, I don't really like, I copy letters, like see how there's an I here and an I here. If it's attached to the R, you'd have to separate it from the R first, so I don't really want to do that. For the dot of the I though, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to use the regular pen tool, and then when I get to the end, I'm just going to click and drag to make that a curve. And so that's how I do the dots of my eyes. I just do a little swipe down. So I'm going to do the swoop of the eye here. I'm going to use the pencil tool to do that. I'm going to fix up this area here. So I'll leave that as is. I select A, and I'm actually just going to minus that one. Back to A, and I'll just drag that down. Make sure that didn't, no, that did mess it up. And I'll just drag the handle to make that a bit more curved. And I'm going to add in an anchor point up here, and then minus holding shift, that anchor point there, and that anchor point there. So there we go, we've got a bit more of a nice curve formed. So with writing fonts, we want this one to be touching this path here. We don't want there to be a gap when we're writing. With this kind of distance, it's unlikely to happen, but I still like to fix it anyway. So A for our direct selection tool, click on the anchor point so it's highlighted red, and then you can just drag it out. And so that just is now snapped to that one there. For the eye, I'm going to select this one and this one. I'm just going to group them, which is Command G or Control G. So that's where we're at. I'm going to finish off this word and then explain some more. So there we are, our writing font is finished. We can see if we hide that locked layer. Now if we go back to our regular view, which is Command Y or Control Y, it looks a little crazy. So we're just going to select everything, and then we can swap the fill and the stroke around by hitting Shift X. There you go, you can see what it looks like in the regular view. So if you want to simulate a little bit closer what a pen will look like, select it all again. And then in the Properties panel, so if you don't have this, go Window, and then Properties. You can click the word stroke, and you can change the cap to round and the corner to round. And then when you zoom in, things will be looking a little bit better. So to save this out to import into your Cricut, you just save it as an SVG. However, one thing first is Cricut is going to take all of this and just rearrange it. So what I like to do is select all of it, then go Object, Compound Path, and then Make. And so now Cricut is going to read this as attached before you even put it in the program. So you don't have to worry about lining anything up or just messing around. So to save that, we just go File, Save As, and then just as an SVG. And let's go use Artboards and just go 1. And so that will import it in perfectly to Cricut. If you like that video, make sure to like and subscribe. I make new videos every Tuesday.